This is Modern Photo Solutions, helping you find modern solutions for life's photographic journey. Taking you from photo overwhelm to photo fabulous in just a few taps. Your story matters. It's time to start telling it. Hey everyone, welcome to Modern Photo Solutions. I'm Steph Clay and I am here today with Katie Nelson, who can be found at scrapbookladypages.com. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Steph.
And on social media, you're Katie Scrapbook Lady, right?
Yes, I'm usually Katie the Scrapbook Lady, or I spell it KT Scrapbook Lady, like letter K, letter T.
Yeah.
So that's usually where you can find me on Instagram, Pinterest, all those good places.
And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of an oxymoron a little bit that that's your username everywhere because you're super techie.
Yeah, it is funny. And I've talked to you about this before. As my life has evolved, I've thought I kind of would like to drop the scrapbook lady part, but it's how I'm known. It all started back in the 90s when I would teach in-person scrapbook workshops, and everyone just kind of would joke about, "Oh, you're Katie the Scrapbook Lady." So I thought, well, that's catchy, and that's how I started my first website. And I do definitely focus on memory keeping and photo books and anything related to photos. I love anything related to memories, but it's much more than just scrapbooking, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why you're here today. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And I'm super excited that you were able to join me to talk about these things because these are things that people love to hear about and are really curious about. So the first thing that you were going to talk about is Google Takeout.
Yes. So this is an interesting little service that most people don't even know about. And it's not
Totally new to me. Totally.
I know it's not having food delivered, sadly. I wish you could Google Takeout and they would bring you food, but
Yes.
it is something different. And it's funny because I learned about it several years ago and used it. I was just curious about how you could get to everything Google had on you or from you. And I can't remember what made me even think of it, but I somehow ran into this and I thought, well, this is so interesting. You can download anything you go to Google Takeout, just Google that, Google Takeout, and it will take you to a site, and you have to be signed into your Google account for it to work. So, go sign into your email or something so that you're signed in. And then it will give you options to download anything that you have in the Google universe. So anything, and you can choose what you want to download. And this too, I think I do remember how I started on this. I had a couple of blogs through Blogspot back in the day, and they're still there and still, full of information. I really wanted to download everything so I could start moving it to my current blog. And so that's actually how I found it. I was trying to figure out how to do that. So when you go to this, it's takeout.google.com, and then you get into your settings. You can choose to download a variety of things. Now, when I found this, there was no such thing as Google Photos, so I'll come back to that. But you can download your bookmarks, anything you have in Blogger, anything you have in Google Drive. It's pretty cool. You can get your whole email history. You can get YouTube videos that you've put on, which is really great because I decided to take some of my personal YouTube videos off, and I've put them on Vimeo. I did this a few years ago because I paid for an account there, and I thought, well, it's probably, a little more private. I don't know. If you use the settings on YouTube, you're probably okay if you use the right privacy settings. So I found it from that and thought it was pretty cool. Sort of didn't think about it for a few years. And I've been setting up a lot of Google Photo accounts lately. I did my own, obviously, when I took your class, and I could talk about that. But I have been setting up my devices that my daughter has. She's on a mission. If you listen to the last episode, you know that. And she had photos all over the place, and none of them were really backed up in the system that I had been using. So I've put them all into Google Photos, just automatically. And it's nice because you can organize so easily in Google Photos. If you want to put everything from 2009 into an album, all you have to do is search 2009, select all those photos, and put them in an album. So I love my folders. I've always loved my folders. And so I thought I really want to download that folder structure just to have as a backup. And I remembered about Google Takeout. So I, just was excited that it works now with Google Photos. So when you go to select what you want to download from Google Takeout, you can pick certain photo albums or all your photo albums or everything in Google Photos. So, right, mind blown, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my goodness, in one click, you can download everything that's in Google Photos.
Yeah, it'll go to a zip file. All you have to do is unzip it and it's all there. It is the best thing ever, I think.
And
So,
you can select it to include your photo album so that
yes.
all of
Yeah.
your photo albums will stay intact too.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that if you don't use albums, but if you are going to put together photo books or slideshows or some sort of project and you have things sorted already in Google Photos that you want to use, or say you're going to do a slideshow about grandpa, and so you go into Google Photos, you search for all the pictures related to your grandpa, you put them in an album, and then you can just download it, obviously from Google Photos too, but through this Google Takeout, you would have access to those things too.
Yeah. Okay. This is really exciting for me because well, first, let me say this. I'm kind of sitting here. My mind is going a million miles a minute with all
I
of
know,
this.
right?
Yes. It's totally like, this is, whoa, so amazing. But okay, so it says that I have 2,463 photo albums in Google Photos. And
Wow.
I know I have not made that many. And so I'm like,
That's
what
interesting.
albums are
Yeah.
these? So I selected on it because you can also choose, one of your options is to download select photo albums, to select the photo albums you want to download. So I clicked that, I selected that, and then I click on photo albums. And we should mention that I'm doing this on my computer, and that's probably where you need to do it from.
Yeah,
not a phone.
I'm not sure that you could really work this through your phone.
Yeah, I would, or a tablet. I wouldn't think so. And you wouldn't want to download that much data either.
Yeah.
To a tablet or a phone. It would be way too much memory. So when I open it up, it actually has all of those folders that Google Drive created chronologically for me.
Okay, because it shows that I have a lot of photo albums too, and I was thinking that was the case because I have mine connected to my Google Drive anyway. So.
Yes, and so my Google Drive, when you connect Google Photos and Google Drive, Google Photos is supposed to go into Google Drive and make folders chronologically by year and then divide it up by month. And I know that, and I've talked about this before on episodes, but just in case, I never know if this is somebody's first episode, there is a bug in that, and it doesn't always work for everybody.
That's
exactly
true.
Like it should. It's worked for you for years, is that correct?
Yeah, I've used Google Drive for a long time, way before Google Photos came, and I paid for the extra storage.
Yes.
So I thought maybe that's why it worked pretty well for me, is because I already had that set up.
Could be.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. So these albums, I mean, mine, because I have scanned photos I've talked about before that my uncle had done, and they did the metadata correctly. So these albums are like, I have January 29th, 1970, February 5th, 1970. Yeah. Going clear back, I have 1979. I have stuff in the 80s and the 90s. And then clear back as early as 2000, which is when I started using a digital camera. But all of these different dates are albums. And so that's part of why there's so many different albums.
Well, the nice thing is if you're going to download this, you can hit select photo albums and just choose which ones. You don't have to do all of them.
Yes, because here's another cool thing is my daughter Samantha, I posted on Instagram that I introduced her just a couple days after she came home from her mission to Google Photos. She was asking me, she was like, she was filling out an application, and she said, what was my high school graduation date? And so I got into Google Photos and I typed Sam graduation, and it pulled up her graduation photos. And then I
I
said,
do this all the time
yes.
now. It's like my search engine for my life. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. And so I was like, well, here it is. It was May 30th. and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was like, what? And her mind was totally blown. And so then I just tapped on her photo in the people, and she was able to go through all of the photos of her, pretty much of her whole life. And she was just loving it. She spent the next 2 hours going through all of the photos. And I thought, I wish there was an easy way that I could download all of
Yes.
those photos, just those of her. Well, now all I need to do is go make an album of all of those photos of her in Google Photos, and now I can download it very easily.
See, that's exactly what I'm doing. That's what I want to do for my daughter. I want her to have a photo library. And of course she has it, in her Google Photos, but I want her, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm going to need to combine some of mine too in there as well, besides just her photos. But I want to have, something tangible too. I still use an external hard drive. I don't think you do anymore, but I like to have a backup on those things. I don't worry about that as much anymore. I can talk about that in a few minutes. But when I'm getting ready to, work on a big photo book project, I really want to have those photos there in a file. And there's, lots of ways I use that because I don't always want to have to download each individual picture that I'm going to work with. And I still do things on my computer in Photoshop where I'll create collages and layouts. And also, I still use an app called Photo Transfer, where sometimes if I'm going to be working on, so like for instance, I just worked on 1997. And I need to probably tell you a lot of details about that. But I wanted all my 1997 pictures on my iPad so I could be working in Project Life on them. So it was just really fast to use this app where I had all those pictures on my computer and I could just transfer them to my iPad. So I still love my folders. I love Google Photos. I love having everything in there, but sometimes I need a folder full of pictures.
Yeah, I understand that. I've used the photo transfer app. I've had great success with it on my iOS devices. I have not had good luck with it on Android.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that's because I'm going from a Mac to an Android device. I have a hard time having them connect with each other.
That could be. Yeah.
I don't know what
I
it
haven't
is.
used Android devices. I have used it on my PC to my iOS devices, and that's worked great for me.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really good. Okay, so is that everything that you want to talk about?
Sorry, did you hear my really loud doorbell?
It's okay. No problem.
It's the UPS man, I'm almost sure.
your daily Amazon delivery.
Yeah, sorry.
That's how it is at my house.
I know. I'm sitting right by this speaker, so.
You're fine. You're totally fine. Is that everything on the Google Takeout?
Yeah, on the Google Takeout. I did want to tell you a little bit about my 1997 project.
Okay, let's hear about it.
So I love this Google Photos thing, but I really like it when they show up chronologically by date. And of course, the 1997 photos have no metadata. They're scans. And so I know in your class you talked about, how to go in and add the metadata. And I've seen a lot on that. And I was hesitant because I didn't know the dates on a lot of things. I knew they were 1997, but I thought that was pretty good. I got it narrowed down that well. So I went through, I imported all the pictures I had, which I don't have that many from 1997. It's one of the reasons why I picked that year to work on. And so I imported all those photos into Lightroom, and I put the metadata on all of them as January 1st, 1997. And I just didn't worry about it beyond that because I could worry about, was this Halloween? Was this, those are going to be easy to figure out, Halloween and Christmas and birthdays. But most of them are like in the middle of the summer or on a day, who knows when it was. So I thought, at least if I put them all as January 1st, 1997, they all show up in Google Photos as 1997. I can find them very easily by the date, and I just didn't spend a lot of time on it. And for me, that was a great solution.
It is a great solution. That's perfect.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd throw that out there in case anyone is really stressed about trying to get all that right. I don't know that it matters. I mean, my if my kids are trying to find a picture of themselves from 1997, they're really not going to worry too much about if it was August 1st or whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree. August 1st or May 5th.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that, and so I was excited about that, and then it made it easy to find all those pictures. Anytime I'm working on that project, I can find all those in Google Photos. It's easy to download. It's just a way to tag them, and it's really easy to do that in Lightroom. I know a lot of people get scared of Lightroom, and it's a pretty powerful program, but that part is really easy. All you have to do is Google how to change the date in Lightroom, and you'll find it.
For sure. And that's a very easy thing to do. If you already have that program, you might not want to pay for the money for that program if you don't
Yeah,
already
so
have it.
that I have some advice for that too. You can get it through that cloud subscription through
Yes.
Adobe. So just do it for 1 month and do all
Oh,
your
that's a good idea.
I know, and then, quit it and you're done. I mean, it's totally would be worth the cost. I think it's like $13
So
a
I was
month.
going to say it's like $10 to $20 is all for a month.
Yeah. And then you don't have to go out because I don't even know if they sell Lightroom anymore. I think they
No. Mm-mm.
just do it as that
Yes.
subscription.
Yes, that's the only way.
I know you can also do it through, I know you can do it through Windows. I don't use a Mac, so I don't know how to do it, but you have to do it like one at a time. So it's very tedious.
Yeah. Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
you might be able to batch do it, but it's not as easy as the Lightroom thing.
Well, and on a Mac, if you do it through just on your computer through the Finder,
Hmm.
then it doesn't actually go into the metadata and it doesn't go anywhere else you send the photo.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I was trying to remember if that was true. I tried it on my computer first and decided this isn't worth it. So,
Yes, on a PC it does stay in the metadata, but it is one by one, and that's what just like you said, so nice about Lightroom, and also the Adobe one that I talked about in the forum, in the Google Photos forum, the Photo Fabulous, not the forum, the Facebook page. There's a lot of discussion about this kind of stuff, and there's another Adobe program that's free that you can use, and you can batch do it. You can select a whole bunch of photos at once, change the date on all of them,
well,
save
that's
the
good.
date,
Yeah.
and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I think I've seen those threads. So I'll just put a plug in for you here. If people haven't finished the Google Photos class, they need to finish it so they can be part of that Facebook group
Yeah.
because it's really helpful. I mean, it's just helpful to see what other people are doing and to, see what their questions are and what their successes are.
I totally agree. I love being in there and talking to people.
Yeah, it's been fun for me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next we were going to talk about backup stuff, right? Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we talk about backing up?
I think backing up is a good place to go right now
Okay.
because I've been really focusing on that lately for a couple different reasons. Like you said, I'm a bit techie, so I end up being tech support for my family.
Yes, I can relate.
Yes, and my parents have recently moved to Utah after being away for 13 years, and so I'm getting the chance to help them with some of their tech setup and their issues. I used to try and help them remotely, so it's a lot easier when I can just go over and look at their computer.
For sure.
But so my dad, I set him up, and I think I talked about this last time I was on. I set him up on Google Photos a few months ago, and then his hard drive recently just went on the fritz really bad, and we haven't been able to even open his computer. And so he got a new laptop and he was worried about, well, I had a lot of photos on my computer. I probably lost them. And I said, I don't think you have. And I opened up Google Photos and showed him how they were all there. And he was just excited. I don't think he really understood how that would happen. And so that's the cool thing is it's just backing things up for you when you have it set up. I love that. And he had also gotten a new phone, and I hadn't thought about it when he got a new phone, but we hadn't switched we hadn't put the Google Photos app yet on his new phone. But, it found all his photos. It was just really easy for him. And so it's such a great backup to have that. And it's changed my backup life dramatically. If anyone's followed my blog, or if you go there and you search backup or memory roundup, because I do this thing every month called a memory roundup where I give you prompts to think about what's happened in the past month and to journal about it or blog about it, just to at least keep those details. And it's something I've done for 11 years. It's a really good routine in my life. And as part of that routine, for years, I had a list of tasks I would go through too, where I would make sure, and of course, this has evolved over the years as technology has changed. So over the last few years, it's been making sure I have all my photos off my phone, put into folders on my computer, and then backed up to Flickr and Dropbox. And there could have been times where I could have lost photos because I wasn't doing this daily. So it was a manual process. It was something I had to control every part of it. And I kind of feel guilty now because I just don't do anything now. It's just all going to Google Photos. I used to run all my pictures through Lightroom first at the end of the month and then upload them. I don't do any of that now. It's just all there in Google Photos. And I figure if I want to edit them or do anything with them, I'll do it when I use them. So it has cut down hours out of my workload each month. And which is more realistic because how many people were really going to do that?
I didn't. And that's why I knew I needed something automated. I've always had to have an automated system because I couldn't. I knew I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't.
I think I was one of the few people who were reading that blog that did it because I was blogging about it. I'm Katie the Scrapbook Lady. I mean, this is like what I do.
Right.
But it's just not very, and it wasn't even realistic for me. I mean, it's just, you're not going to get every month perfectly. And there were times where I didn't get everything backed up that I should have. So, but that was sort of fun for me when I started installing Google Photos, is it pulled pictures out of my electronic life that I didn't know I still had. I mean, it's like it sweeps into the corners and gets everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So, everything has changed for me backup wise, and I've been going through. I set up my daughter's laptop because I want it to be nice when she gets home, and it's a little bit of an older laptop, and I was trying to decide if it still worked. So I upgraded to Windows 10, and I'm trying to set up Google Photos for her because she has no idea that even exists. And she'll be amazed like your daughter was. She'll be like, what? Because she wasn't doing any backup. We were relying on iCloud for that. And I've come to decide that iCloud's not the thing to rely on.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Wouldn't want to put all my eggs in that basket.
No.
So I feel like I've learned a lot about how you don't have to really have a backup plan if you have a few things in place that are automatic. Google Photos is definitely one of those. And I'm trying to do this with my dad right now, having some place where your documents can go automatically. And I like Google Drive because you get a lot for free there. And then if you need to pay, you don't have to go either from a kind of a $0 to $100 option. I mean, you have other options there. And so, but you can also do Dropbox. You can have some sort of cloud backup. And for him, that was the missing piece. So his computer was fried. His photos are okay, but he's lost documents. And, now he'll have to see if he can pay to have someone take them off of his computer. And we don't know if they'll be able to do that or not. But if you have some sort of cloud service watching your documents file too, then you have that extra backup. And you don't have to be manually doing anything.
Yes, which is wonderful.
It is. It's so great to have this time of technology. I'm so glad I am alive in this time instead of many, many reasons.
I know there's so much of my life that I've thought about that Google Photos just saves me so much time now that I used to spend time tagging photos and in Lightroom and making sure that every person that was in them was tagged and every the location and the my Disney pictures, it was always the year and the month of the trip and then Walt Disney World and then whatever park inside Walt Disney World we were at, Animal Kingdom, all of the Magic Kingdom, the different, and then everybody that was in the photo, and then I had a trip name that I tagged it with, and it was just took a lot of time.
I know. Now you can just search that. You could put in
I
Animal
know.
Kingdom in Google Photos and it would know where Animal Kingdom is
I'm
and
gonna
what
check and see. I'm
pictures.
curious to know. I know it knows Disney World. I'm curious to know if it
I
knows
bet it
Animal
knows Animal
Kingdom.
Kingdom. I was showing my dad lots of the features yesterday. I'm saying, look, if you want a picture where you're wearing a hat, just type in hat. And I don't think he believed me, but
It
it's
does.
true.
Katie,
I
it
know.
knows Animal
I
Kingdom.
know. I'm not surprised because it has known, like, I'll type in Botanical Park, Albuquerque, and it knows.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pulling up all of the ride photos, all of the all the PhotoPass photos, and then all of my photos that I took around the Animal Kingdom. This thing, and that's the thing that's amazing about it, because I checked it when I first started using it
Hmm.
about a year ago. It was just over a year ago that I started using Google Photos, and I checked things like that and it wouldn't show up, but that's how far it's come.
Yeah, it's getting smarter.
It's so
I believe
smart.
that. Yeah.
Yes, that's what's
Yeah.
so amazing about it, is it just continues to get better.
Yeah. And like I said, I use it like a search function for
Yes,
my life.
I know.
Like my husband bought this little ATV kind of thing. It's called a Razor,
Yes.
and he bought it a few years ago. And he was trying to figure out when he bought it, so he asked me, and I just typed that in, and I didn't know if it would know the term Razor or if it would know ATV. So I checked on both, and it actually pulled it up both ways. I was so surprised. So it's a pretty smart little thing.
It is smart. Someone posted in our Photo Fabulous Facebook group that there's a newish sport in Canada called Ring It, I
I
believe.
saw
Did
that.
you see
Yeah.
that? And it's a little bit like hockey. It's a sport that's popular among women, and it's kind of a no contact. It's ice sport,
So I
but
had to Google it
I
when
did
she
too.
posted
I did
that.
too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she was like, I'm so excited because Google Photos has figured out the word ring it. I don't have to search on ice hockey anymore. And I was like, ring it? What in the world? I had to look it up.
I know, I know. I thought that was really funny, but it's Google. It's pretty smart. So
Yeah, it's amazing. I
yeah,
totally agree. Google Photos is Google for my life. It's like the almanac encyclopedia of my life.
it is. It's really cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So cool. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what your complete backup process looks like.
okay. So it has changed definitely, but there are still pieces in place from how I used to do it. So I used to be very folder focused. And I have a lot of this on my blog. I mean, I have different articles about how I've backed up my photos, how I back up my documents, how I've used Dropbox, all those different things. But the basic structure for me for everything, including my documents, is by year. So I have on an external hard drive, I have starting with the year I was born till now. I have a folder for each year. And of course, the early folders don't have very much in them. They just have some photos that I have. But my recent year folders, like this year's folder, has letters I've written to my daughter, not mixed in with my photos. It's a separate folder. Things related to our house, our tax information, that kind of stuff. Now, you have to be careful, what you're keeping on your files, I guess, if your computer ever gets stolen. So, just a little side note, when I have financial stuff on there, I run it through Adobe PDF and I create a password on it. Still, I mean, there's probably still issues with that, but I feel like at least not just anyone could walk in and open that.
Yeah.
You have to have some sort of filing system. I would also caution you to be careful with what you're storing in the cloud. That way, they say things are secure, but if you're putting all your information there in the cloud, I just think it's good to have at least a layer of protection, like a password on it or something. And I don't think a lot of people think about that. I think they would just scan their tax returns and put them in Dropbox and not think about it. But for me, I'm a little more paranoid, I guess. But that really how my system works. That's for me the easiest way. Now, sometimes that can fool you because you don't remember what year things happened, but it's and so some people are going to be better off if they have just one file called house and they just keep everything in for house. And I've done it that way too, but for me, this just works out well. And usually I can find what I need. The nice thing about having documents uploaded somewhere like Google Drive is it is easier to search those too.
Yeah, because
So,
it'll search the contents
mhm,
of them.
mhm.
Okay, so you have these stored on your hard drive on your computer?
Yes, on my external hard drive, not on my
Okay.
computer. I don't like to slow down my computer.
Yeah.
So I only keep what I need on my computer because I like it to work fast. And then a few years ago, I paid for the Pro Dropbox subscription. And so I've always kept that same file structure backed up in Dropbox. But I'm thinking now of maybe just going straight to a Google system. I'm kind of still, I still have my Dropbox paid for through the end of the year because I did a year at a
Mm-hmm.
time to save money. So I've got some time to figure that out. But I do think it's important to have it in more than one place. And I think at least one of those places should be in the cloud. That's just what I think.
I totally
Because
agree.
if your house burns down or your computer's stolen, I mean, those things happen.
They do.
Your external hard drive can melt easier than your computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have good luck with them compared to you, but
I know. Most people have good luck, I think, with
I
them
know, yeah. Yeah. If I were
better
you,
than
I don't
me.
even know if I'd do the external hard
I
drive.
don't. I don't. I gave up. I
Yeah.
totally gave up on external hard drives. I'm
Yeah.
totally cloud based because I was fed up with
Yeah.
external hard
I
drives.
kind of like the idea of being too deep in the cloud because I don't think Google's ever going to go out of business, but knock on wood or something. I used to think that I used to have all my pictures in the Sony system. When I first got a digital camera, I had a Sony and they had this great photo storage site and you could share albums. And I thought, hey, Sony's not going to go out of business. What do I have to worry about here? Well, they took down their site and it was really hard to get your photos off their site. You could only download the low resolution size.
Oh.
There are photos that I are, first of all, it was in the early days of digital cameras. They were already terrible pictures.
Right.
And then to give you a low resolution version of it, and I didn't get all of them off in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned my lesson that way is like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
For
Just,
sure.
yeah, have options. And it's hard because you have to pay for storage for the cloud, but you can also keep paying for external hard drives or more memory on your computer and have the same thing happen or worse.
Yeah, I totally agree. So cloud wise, you're in Dropbox and Google Drive and
Yeah, and
Google
my
Photos.
photos are all in Flickr still. I still love Flickr.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Flickr is really easy to download your photos to. In fact, if you want to bulk download from Flickr, search for a tool called Bulker, and it's kind of spelled the same weird way Flickr is. So it's Bulkr, and it will let you do similar to what we are just talking about with Google Takeout, where you can download entire albums, entire photo streams if you want, and you can do full-size resolution, which I love.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably always use Flickr unless they get really weird or something.
Or get rid of it.
Yeah, which there's been talk about it.
There's been talk for a long time, but they haven't ever done that.
Yeah.
So I
And
would
with
think
Yahoo keeps, having issues. So
Yeah.
I would definitely do more than just Flickr, but I do still like Flickr, but I have to admit I don't upload there all that regularly anymore because I know it's going to Google Photos. And Flickr has an app that's supposed to automatically upload, but it goes back and forth. It doesn't always catch it.
Mine, I usually have to trigger Flickr.
Yeah.
By going into it.
So you usually have to open it.
Yes. So you have your documents saved to your external hard drive, and then are they synced to Dropbox, or is that something you're manually uploading?
I was manually doing it for a long time because I don't like to sync Dropbox because then it takes up space on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm to the point now where I have one folder that I just save all my documents in at first, and then it can catch from there.
Good idea.
Yeah, and then I have to move them later into my file structure, but at least I know they're getting backed up. So you can do that either with Dropbox or Google Drive. It's called selective sync. And you just you just target the folder that you want.
Yes. I have had to do that on my computer just because I've got so many photos and stuff in Dropbox that my computer, my hard drive finally started to get full. So I had to selective sync my photos.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, why is my hard drive full all of a sudden?
Yeah.
So,
And you're actually, you were the inspiration for me to go completely cloud-based because we were at your house and we were having a discussion about why are we hauling around, your husband had asked you, why are you hauling around all of these external hard drives when you've got so
Yeah, I'd
much cloud
forgotten about that
storage?
discussion, but that kind of changed my perspective too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we kind of decided to start exploring it a little bit more, and you were the first to jump on and move all your photos into Dropbox.
Well, and I have
And
all my digital supplies in Dropbox too,
yes.
which it was well, it took a while.
Yeah. I ended up
Yeah.
losing all of my digital supplies. Did you know that? Have I ever told you?
Oh, no.
Yeah. When one of my hard drive losses, I was really good about anytime I would lose a hard drive, the first thing that I would that I would make sure that I had my third copy of was photos. And
Yeah.
it got to the point that I was losing hard drives so often that
Yeah.
only my photos were getting duplicated. And so I only had my digital supplies on one, I had part of them on one external hard drive and part of them on another external hard drive.
Oh, no.
And so I lost almost everything, a terabyte. It was about a terabyte's worth of.
Yeah, I know you had a lot
I
because
did.
we used to compare.
Yes. I had a lot and I lost almost everything. And so
Wow.
I just am not the kind of person that I'm going to go back to stores and
Yeah.
ask them to reset links because I've been on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And digital designers and digital stores do not make enough money, period, for to provide customer service, period. I don't
Well,
think.
I know. And what a pain it would be to have to download all those things
Yes.
again, too. Zip
Yes.
them
And most of them, I had to move on. I didn't even really, I had a moment of silence. That was it because I wasn't
sometimes
gonna,
you just need to do that.
I wasn't going to grieve about it or be upset about it. I just decided, well, if there's things that I really decide that I want, I'll buy them again. And that's what I've been doing. It's just the stuff that I really know I'm going to use. I've gone and bought again. But I had started about a year and a half ago downloading my digital supplies into Dropbox. And so I didn't lose any of those things, but I wasn't buying as much either. It was,
I'm not buying all that much anymore,
yeah.
honestly. I'm mostly using the app, and then I use a lot of different digital cards. That's a lot of what I'm using,
Yes.
but and that's why the app is so nice because say your iPad crashes and you have to reinstall the app, well, you can just restore your purchases.
I know, it's so nice.
It is so great.
So good. Yeah. And that's mostly what I'm buying now is additional cards that I can use inside of the Project Life app. That's all really.
Yeah. And I learned, you really influenced me about uploading those kind of things to Google Photos. At first I was really worried. I'm like, oh, I just only want it to be photos. It says Google Photos. But having some folders for my digital cards, like journaling cards and filler cards, I love that. And it's so much easier to browse through those than to try and open up file after file on your computer and look through them. Because you can just, I've put them into folders. I have a folder for school and a folder for Christmas, and then I have just a miscellaneous folder. So I've kind of replicated my digital supply system that I have, and just to put cards only. Haven't put papers or anything in it. And so I've put those in. And now when I want to look for something spring related to put on my page, I have this whole folder on Google Photos, and I can browse through it in like 2 seconds and find something and download it and use it. And I love that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I haven't ever had any experiences where any of those cards have showed up in things that Sissy's created for me. Have you?
No, I haven't either, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's smart enough to know that those aren't important to you.
Yeah, the only thing that bugs me about doing that is it will read the date off of when the card was created.
I know.
So, you're looking through your timeline of photos, and then, all of a sudden you see these little things pop up. But, it's not that big a deal.
It's true. That bothers me a little bit too, but the convenience factor of having it there in an album at my fingertips.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go change the metadata on it or anything. So
no, which you easily could. I think I saw someone in the Google in the Photo Fabulous Facebook group said that they were changing it to a long time ago date so that
Yeah,
stuff
like
would be
put
at
them all as 1950 or
yeah.
something, you know? So
Yeah.
they're at the beginning, but
Yeah.
I'm
Which
not worried about it.
me either. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
bother me enough to do that, but absolutely people that it does bother them enough, they can do it that way and then it doesn't show up at all.
Use Google Takeout to download them as a batch and then do it.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah, you can even batch change the date in Google Photos.
that's true.
But it just stays there. It wouldn't change it in the
Yeah.
actual metadata. So if you download
That's
it.
probably all you would need. Then
Yeah.
it just would the Google Photos problem.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the locations that you have all of your documents, it's on your computer. It's in Google Drive.
Mm-hmm. And Dropbox.
And Dropbox. Okay. That's great. And then your photos are in your phone photos. Let's tell everyone all of the locations you are backing up to with phone photos.
Well, pretty much the same thing, but not as well. It's a little bit of a different approach. So phone photos are automatically going to Google Photos. They're automatically going to iCloud, but I don't know if I could ever get them again. And it's nice because they're also on my other devices until I delete them from my photo stream.
Yeah.
And then I do still want them in my folder systems. And so that's kind of why I got into Google Takeout. Because I thought I have a bunch to go back and do. I mean, it's certainly easy to go into Google Photos. You can download an album right there or select a bunch of photos and download them, and they'll put them in a zip file. But I am starting to do that. I realized I was getting so comfortable in my having to do nothing that I was kind of forgetting that part. And I don't want them just only in Google Photos. I still want to have them on Flickr, and I still want to have them a few other places. Flickr for me, and I don't even know if the rest of my family uses it anymore, but it used to be a good way for me to share with my family and have them look at it. But I'm realizing now I just need to invite them to look at my Google Photo albums.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things are still evolving.
It's the truth. It's constantly, always constantly changing.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about, now I totally left my mind.
Oh, no.
I was going to say, but had to do with, Dropbox, automating. Okay. I
do have my photo stream automatically sent to Dropbox.
Okay. So you have that, what's it called? Camera uploads.
Yes.
On.
Yeah.
Okay. I had turned mine off because it wasn't working well with that option for iOS devices where you can save space and just have the thumbnail stored on your phone. Mm-hmm. Google or Dropbox didn't like that setting very much. I need to turn it back on. But when I had that setting turned on, I actually had some scripts set up on my Mac where I remember
you told me about this.
Yeah,
this is cool.
So cool. And it's a program called Hazel, if people are on a Mac and interested in doing this. And you can, and it was actually Wendy Design who, she wrote about it on the Daily Digi. So you could also go to thedailydigi.com and search on Hazel and find directions on how to do this. But I had it set up so that it would look in Dropbox, and then it would take photos that were taken in a certain month and year, and then move them to those month and year folders so that I
almost bought a Mac when you told me that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really cool. And so you do have to set up the scripts to do that and tell it, which months, and then, where to look, and then what you want the dates and where it needs to check for the dates of the images, and then how to move, and then where to move it to. And so it is more advanced. I wouldn't suggest that if you feel uncomfortable with technology, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with technology, however, this might be something that you really like. And I loved it because my photos would automatically move, and I didn't have to do anything. I was able to sort through 1,300 photos, I believe it was, that were sitting in my camera uploads folder, and have them all moved to their chronological folders in 30 minutes.
See, that sounds so great to me because I know they're going to that camera uploads folder, but I'm like, oh, please, I hope I never have to go into that camera
I
uploads
know.
folder
I
and just
know.
wade through everything that's there.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the truth. And I did one time when one of my phones got damaged and I thought that all of my photos were backing up to iCloud and I found out that they weren't. I did download a bunch from Dropbox to my phone. I
Hmm.
transferred it. I plugged my phone into my computer. It was a laptop, PC at that time, and then dragged and dropped the photos over on back onto my phone because I wanted to have all of those past photos there. And I was really glad that I was able to do that and that I had that camera upload set up in Dropbox.
So that photo transfer app that I talked about, and that's just what it's called, is photo
Yes.
transfer app, is really good with Dropbox. Is so slick. It's just a way to pull things off in big chunks off Dropbox. I love it.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, that I think we covered it all, right?
Yeah, lots to talk about, huh?
Yeah, good information for people, and I know it's
Yeah.
going to be helpful for them as well. So thank you so much for coming on today and sharing
Oh, thanks
everything.
for having me. It's always fun to chat.
Yeah, let's remind everyone where they can find you. Do you want to share
Okay.
that?
Sure. It's at scrapbookladypages.com, and there are icons to get to all my social media channels there. But I'm most active on Instagram. That's kind of my favorite one, and you can find, and it's KT Scrapbook Lady, like letter K, letter T.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, and everyone can find all of your stuff there. And if you want to send me some links to your roundups that you do,
Okay.
I'd be happy to post them in the show notes for this post so people can easily check them out.
Great.
as
It's just
well.
a great way to remember to record a few details. That's also been a way that I search through my life. I can go back through all my old roundups and realize what we had done, where we traveled, where we ate, fun things like that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you again for being here. I appreciate it. And I want to remind my listeners as well to be sure to check out the free Google Photos class if you haven't already. You can just go to modernphotosolutions.com/free, and that will take you right to that class, and it will teach you everything you need to know about Google Photos in about 30 minutes is all it takes to get through that class. And then once you've finished it to 100%, you will get access to the Facebook group. You will be emailed a link that then you can request access to that Facebook group and join the discussions in there. We have quite a few people in there. The other day when I was looking, I need to go look. I think there's close to 300 people or something like that in that group.
Well, it's been fun for me. It kind of reminds me back in the old days with the Digi forums, how you could have relationships with people, comment on their layouts, and have that fun interaction.
It does. It builds a sense of community, which I really love. And I've missed since people moved away from message boards and forums and all of that. So I really enjoy being able to connect with people there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you again, Katie.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time on Modern Photo Solutions.